Hi, everyone. Welcome to Jack Health Talks 2024 Trends. I'm Katie Brown, and I'm here with Kimberly Emrick-Bryan, Jamey Hardesty, and Jimmy Doucette. Shall we get started? First question, how can healthcare brands break through their traditional B2B focus to connect more directly and intimately in 2024?
To break through all of that noise, you've really got to figure out how to create personalized experiences for people. Ultimately, people want to know what you're about. And so, when you show up and you make sure that those experiences connect, that's kind of my formula for how you're going to be able to break through this year.
Yeah, I think very clearly this is the direction that it's going, right? Healthcare companies are speaking a different language. They're showing up in different places. I think one of the challenges that healthcare companies are going to have there is that their traditional audience speaks a completely different language than consumers. Healthcare companies have to be able to tell the stories they're used to telling through a different lens and using a different language so that consumers can actually understand what they are about.
I think lens is really important because it's not just the language, it's not just the channel or the medium. It is what's the tone that's being conveyed, because you might be saying all of the right things, you might be writing all of the right things, but where you are sharing it, how you are sharing it to actually create any sense of emotion or relatability is where I think sometimes people get blocked. And I hear a lot that it's because of regulatory limitations, and I'm sure there is a lot of truth to that, but there's got to be a way to break through that, and because some are already doing that.
Yeah, I love the word relatability there, Kimberly, because how do we help our clients evolve to be less clinically focused and more consumer focused around the stories that we're telling there? I think relatability is key in doing that.
Great. Next question for you guys. How can brands create fluid experiences that go beyond singular moments to allow people to find them where they are in the moments they want to? And how are the best brands doing this today, do you think?
I think the brands that are leaning in on brand experiences more than just those standalone engagement points are really already ahead of the curve. But the brands that see brand experience as the tip of the spear are able to more intimately and authentically engage with audiences.
And it doesn't have to be that hard, right? That like we do a lot of work where we map out the journey. I think it's first getting the organization to understand that we need to flip it from what we want to do. We need to match what we want to do with where audiences are and where they're intersecting with some of these touch points that we want to have with them.
Listen, I think at the center of any successful brand experience or brand engagement is a promise. And what's true is that promises don't live only in one tactic. They don't live only in email or digital or broadcast or wherever it might be. So what's neat about where we're going is that brand promise, that call to action, that behavior change has to live in all of the different touch points where we're engaging consumers. And so as long as that promise and call to action is at the center of it, there's potential for meaningful impact.
And our last question for today, how can brands show both their employees and the broader public how they live their values and mission in an authentic way?
Sometimes there's a little bit of a disconnect, especially when you think about employee recruitment in some ways, but sometimes when you're looking at and evaluating whether or not another company would be a good fit for you, it isn't until you actually meet the people and talk to the people that you get a sense of what's real. But I think so many companies that I work with feel their hands are tied, so they can't express things the way they want to. So it just becomes cookie cutter and boilerplate. You don't feel anything because it's just words.
I think if what you're after as a brand is really building connection and relationships with your audience, you're going to have to get out in the real world. You have to get in front of people. And to your point, Kimberly, whether that's your own employees, whether that's patients or HCPs, we know that the best exchange of stories, ideas, knowledge is going to come through those shared experiences.
The generations that coming up, they make purchases based on value alignment, and where their identities sit. I think healthcare companies have a little bit of a unique advantage where those values are built in. They're by nature of what they do. There are values and causes that naturally they can stand up for.
Thank you guys so much for participating, and thank you all for joining us and watching the video. We look forward to seeing you next week on our next installment.